All right, Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Machin Leira Online Smicha. I want to share with you a little background on the mitzvah of Neiros Shabbos Kodesh. And amongst Hasidim Chabad, we have a Rashi Tevis, an acronym, Neshek. Neshek means weapons, right? And Hashem, there's a medrash that says that if we, the Jews, light our candles, Hashem will light His candle. In other words, light the candle of Tzion, light the candle, and make sure we have the opportunity to light the candles in the Beis HaMikdash. So there is Imatem Meshabrim Ner Shali, and the Rebbe says, I will respond and give you more opportunities to light candles. The mitzvah of Neiros Shabbos Kodesh is one of the mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. It's not mentioned anywhere in the Torah that you have to keep Shabbos by lighting candles. It doesn't say that, but it's one of the mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. In the Torah, we do find reference to the concept of lighting Shabbos candles. It says that when Yitzchak, after Yitzchak married Rivka, it says until then he was a little lost because his mother Sarah passed away, and he was hurting. He was in mourning of his mother after his mother Sarah, and he realized what kind of great woman his mother Sarah was. But when Yitzchak married Rivka, he saw all the great miracles that took place during Sarah's lifetime. He saw that his new wife, his young wife, has those miracles by her too. And over there it says one of the miracles were that the candles were lit mishabbos l'Shabbos. So there is some proof that it's already going on way before the mitzvah d'Rabbanan, and the Rebbe actually uses that as a proof. Rivka, according to many opinions, was 3 years old. That you're going to learn that there are different traditions from what age you start lighting Shabbos candles. And the Lubavitch minhag is, I think it's from 3 years old. From when a kid is 3 years old, as soon as she can hold a match or help her out, then they would perform that mitzvah. But it's a mitzvah of the Rabbanan. Why did the Rabbanan establish this mitzvah of Shabbos candles? Again, we do it so often, so automatic, that we never stopped to think what it's all about. So in the Rambam, we find two Rambams giving two different reasons. In Hilchos Shabbos, Perek Hey Halacha Aleph, the Rambam says the reason why we light Shabbos candles is because of Oineg Shabbos. Now this is against what the world thinks. The secular world, the fancier the restaurant you go to, the lower the lights are dimmed. And until it's pitch black, now I'm in a great restaurant. In Yiddishkeit, light represents simcha. And to eat in a dark place is not pleasurable. Specifically to eat in a place that it's light, it brings oineg. So in one place the Rambam says, since the pasuk says v'karasa l'Shabbos oineg, you have to, day of Shabbos has to be a day of pleasure. So when you're eating, there has to be light. So that's the reason for the candle to create an atmosphere of oineg. In the other place, in Rambam Perek Lamed Halacha Hey of Hilchos Shabbos, over there he says the reason why we light the Shabbos candles is because of Kavod Shabbos, to show honor and respect for Shabbos. And an honorable place has lights. So it's either Kavod Shabbos or Oineg Shabbos. The difference will be, as mentioned, Oineg, the concept of lighting Shabbos candles because of Oineg is specifically the candles that's by your eating table. We're going to learn that there is a reason why there has to be lights throughout the house. Throughout the house, Shabbos, that it should be depressing and dark, is not Shabbosdik. Shabbos is supposed to be, you go to a ballroom, and when it's dark, it's when it's light, it's action. So Shabbos has to be light for many reasons. Now we have Oineg, But oinig is specifically by the place where you eat. Kavod extends a little more. And then the Alter Rebbe will bring another opinion, is shelo yikashel be'etzu be'evan. Shelo yikashel be'etzu be'evan is just another way how to make sure there's no animosity and no fighting and no stumbling. Okay, again, we're talking back then. If the rooms will be dark, people are going to trip, and then it becomes a tension in the house. So we want lights throughout the house, so nobody should stumble. They should see where they are. So what's the difference between the reasons? The difference between the reasons, oineg, the candle is by the table. Shelo yikashel be'etzu be'evan, to make sure nobody gets hurt in Shabbos going to his room, that is really reason to have light every room. So why is it that we only light Shabbos candles in the kitchen or in the living room? Why don't we light Shabbos candles throughout every room in the house? So the answer is because today's days there are other forms of light, and there's other ways how the rooms become lit. So to make sure that you're not you're not tripping, and you know where you're going, any room that has any other type of light, either through the windows or through a bulb or whatever, will do the job. There won't be any more shalei kashel be'etzu be'evan. You won't stumble. But if it's because of Einik Shabbos, the way you show specific Einik for Shabbos is only if you create a atmosphere of eating under light. Eating under light. Now, how many candles do we light? So the Alter Rebbe in Siman Reish Samach Gimel Seif Aleph brings different options. He says there are some people that are makpid to make 2 wicks on the candle. Why 2 wicks? Echa keneged zocher ve'echa keneged shomer, which means the mitzvah of Torah was given to us in 2 expressions. Be careful to keep the mitzvahs and don't forget. So because it was given 2 expressions, we show that by having 2 wicks on a candle. Now that's how it used to be, 1 candle with 2 wicks. But if you're having today's candlesticks, then it's a lot of people have 2 candlesticks, as mentioned before, 1 keneged zocher and 1 keneged shomer. And the Alter Rebbe says that's a basic number. There are others that say that you could add more, and the Alter Rebbe uses the number 3 candles, 4 candles, and later on he says 7 candles. So I have over here a list of different customs of how many candles you should light on Shabbos, and I'll give you some of the background. To light 1 candle is the sheer basics. 1 candle is good enough, as long as you're sitting by the table and the table has light, so it's Einik Shabbos. 1 candle does the job. To light 2, some people light 2, and a lot of places the custom is, as a girl, when she's single, she lights 1. When you get married, you start lighting 2. 2, there are more than the reasons the Alter Rebbe mentions. The Alter Rebbe mentions the reasons Zocher v'Shomer. Other reasons are brought because on Shabbos we have a neshama yisera, we have an extra additional neshama. So we have 2 neshamas, so we light 2 candles. Number three, another reason is because Ner, candle, is Bigematria 250. Ner, 2 Neros, is Bigematria 500. If you know the physical body of a male and a female, the Gemara says that a male has 248 limbs, body parts. A woman has 252. So they make up together 500 body parts. So to correspond, the combination, the shalom bayis of the husband and the wife, we light 2 candles, Ner and Ner. Others light not one, not two. They light one per every additional person in the family. So for every child, they'll add a number. Some light three, because there is a Gemara. The Gemara says that we have a problem with lighting even numbers. We have a problem in general with zugos. So they want to have an odd number. They light three. The Chassam Sofer his family would light 4 candles, because the Gemara tells us that every candle, in the fire of every candle, there are 4 different color flames. So we do 4 candles. The Arizal mentioned a number to light 7. Why 7? To correspond to the 7 days of the week. The Shalah would say 7 because in the pasuk says about the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, it says El Mul Pnei HaMenorah Yo'iru Shiva Saneres. Another reason to write 7 because the 7 spheres, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, to correspond to the supernal spheres. There are some customs that light 10 to correspond to Aseres Adibris, the 10 Commandments. There are even customs to light 26. 26 is the numerical value of Hashem's name. And there are even the customs to light 36, corresponding to the time, the 36 hours in the beginning of creation, where the light was lit for 36 hours. That's brought in the name of the Mezritch Magid. If somebody started one way and one custom he wants to change, you have to know every good custom that a person takes upon himself and does it more than 3 times, it's considered a promise. You can't easily break a promise. There is an interesting psak din from Shmuel Vosner. He says, what happens if a person used to light 5 candles, 7 candles, but they used to be smaller ones. Instead of that, he wants to take a different number, but bigger ones. How do you rate the change? Do you rate it by size, or do you rate it by the time, how long it will stay lit? And he says that as long as it stays lit, at the same time, I don't care how you change the numbers. Now all these numbers that we mentioned, especially for those who have the custom that you light for every child a new candle, what would be the din if a person is divorced? A man is divorced, or a man lost his wife, how many candles he should light? That is discussed in the Achrayim, different opinions. It also depends on the sensitivity of the house. What happens if the woman is not with her family? She's out somewhere else for Shabbos. Should she continue lighting that number that she usually does, or could she just do the basic 2? That depends on what custom you have. A very interesting point I want to mention about women lighting Shabbos candles. The Shulchan Aruch says that the women are the primary ones who fulfill this mitzvah, even though the mitzvah is on everybody. But the Shulchan Aruch says the women are the primary ones. If they are the primary the ones obligated in the mitzvah, just like a man has to be careful for his mitzvahs to take them seriously and get them done in time, and you can't get busy with other things when it's time to light the Shabbat, when it's time for a mitzvah. So a woman has to be very careful. Friday's a very difficult day. Friday's a very stressful day. She cannot take a nap right before Shabbos unless she asks and reminds, or there is somebody there to remind her to wake up and come on time. Because if that's not happening, then it's no different than a man overeating or going to sleep right before Ma'ariv or Mincha. He's not allowed to. He might miss it. And for the woman, missing Shabbos candles is equivalent to a man going to sleep before Ma'ariv, and he might miss Ma'ariv. Now, what's the point? The point is so important that if a woman, if she was an oinus, and if she wasn't an oinus, it wasn't a fluke. It was something that she forgot, and she didn't light the Shabbos candles. That's a very big difficulty, because it says that from then on, she should always light an extra candle as a knas. Rabbi Nasha Klein actually says the reason why some women light additional candle after every new child in the family is because most of the time they end up being in the hospital for Shabbos, and in the hospital it's very difficult to light the Shabbos candle, so they always miss a Shabbos candle lighting. So from there, therefore, they have to light a new one after every child. An interesting thing, based on what I said before, the Achrayim discuss what happens if a man realizes that his wife is out and she's not going to make it back on time, or she's sleeping and she's whatever, and it's difficult. She's not going to be ready on time. What are the options to have the mitzvah done? Obviously, the man is just as responsible for this mitzvah as the woman. So, because we need the candle lit for Shabbos, there are a few options. Option number one is the man should light it. If the woman is running very, very late, the man should light it. And the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says that. Now, what happens? The woman knows that she'll make it the last moment and she doesn't want to lose her mitzvah and she'll be upset. Then there is another option that the man should light the candle but not make the bracha. And the woman, as long as she comes before Tzeisik Chavim, she'll run over and cover her eyes and she will make the bracha. That some say is an option for a woman running late. And this is just sharing some of the very important information about the mitzvah of Hadlakas Neiros. And it's even mentioned that because the pasuk says, Ki Neir mitzvah v'Torah that many have the custom to make sure to learn something near the Shabbos candles.